Now on CoastTV News.
District discussion in the race for District 20. Another candidate forum looks to answer your questions.
Canopy crackdown. Dewey Beach seeing more people breaking the rules of the beach.
Severe thunderstorm threat for tonight. We just had a severe thunderstorm warning that has been allowed to expire, but we still see the storm on the move, headed towards Harrington, Milford, and Slaughter Beach in the path of its movement.
This is CoastTV News at 5.
Here is a live look outside into Ocean City as we are tracking storms across Delmarva.
Good evening. I'm Madeline Overturf.
And I'm Christina DeRobertis. We begin tonight with our first alert weather, and we're going to send it right over to Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams.
We're starting to see some of these storms come into fruition right now, but we want to kind of set the stage on why we're pushing the button so early, even though a lot of you may not quite see the storms here just yet. You see, we're within that zone of at least slight risk. We're beyond marginal. We're at slight. We're not quite at enhanced. So we're concerned about significant rain, maybe a bit of hail, and definitely some heavy downpours. Here's where we stand right now. We have an active severe thunderstorm watch in effect right now. And this will stay in place for us until about 8 o'clock for this evening. That being said, on our app a little bit earlier this evening, we began tracking one of the storms specifically, and it's this storm that began to create an opportunity for severe thunderstorm warning. That warning literally just expired earlier than scheduled at about 5 o'clock at the top of the hour. It was supposed to last until 5:15, but this storm and this cell is still active, moving along Highway 14, expected to make its way through Riverview, Harrington, Greenwood area, because this is covering at least 18 miles of real estate as it slides through, and I'm expecting it to park right along the highway for us near Milford and Ellendale. Now, as far as the latest tracking is concerned, here's what I'm mostly concerned with. The folks that are in Harrington, we're looking forward to already visiting you there, but then Milford, then Milton, and then Broadkill Beach following that to Villas. One thing that's interesting about this cell, I'm not so much concerned about it turning into like a tornado or a big wind event. I'm more concerned about widespread flooding that could be associated with this as it begins to push on through. And similar to this, we have concern for flooding. And one place that had a big problem with flooding, Ellicott City, which is actually getting a lot of play right now, they're concerned about that flash flooding there that's already active there. We could see that same kind of dumping of water right here at home.
All right, thank you, Paul. And due to that weather, the Maryland Transportation Authority is reminding the public be prepared for standing water on the roads. You can reduce your chances of hydroplaning by slowing down, avoiding hard braking, or turning sharply.
The fight for one Delaware House seat is ramping up. District 20's special election now just 5 days away. Coast TV News reporter Emma Aiken live in Milton. Emma, the candidates are participating in a forum tonight.
Maddie, I'm here at Milton Elementary School where this forum between Democrat Alana Berry and Republican Nikki Miller will begin here at 7. This forum is hosted by the League of Women Voters, and they asked the public to submit questions to the candidates. Now, last week there was another candidate forum that was business-focused questions where Berry and Miller were asked the same questions but separately. But tonight we know there is a moderator, so this could be the first debate-style conversation that we see between Berry and Miller, and we will be here all night. We will be at the forum, so we will have more on Coast TV at 6 and 11. Reporting here in Milton, Emma Aiken, Coast TV News.
Thank you, Emma. And here's a little background about how we got to the special election. The District 20 seat was held by Stell Parker Selby, and Parker Selby missed every single day of the legislative session due to a massive stroke last winter. Parker Selby resigned June 24th.
We're getting a better look at early voting turnout in District 20. According to the Department of Elections, 22% of registered voters in the district, about 16,000 in total, 23,000 actually, have already cast their ballots early. That's 4,532 in total. The department says there were 573 absentee ballots returned.
Well, many of us here on the coast love visiting the beach and trying to get that best spot closest to the ocean. In Dewey Beach, people are getting to the beach early, but leaving their setups there. Coast TV reporter Brandon Ferguson live in Dewey Beach. Brandon, the town says it's a problem and they're seeing more of it.
Christina, the rule here in Dewey is that you can not set up a canopy before 9 a.m. and leave it unattended. And stay with us on this shot here. If you look out onto Dewey Beach, you're not going to see anybody. That's because lifeguards just cleared all beaches here in Dewey because of lightning in the area, and we'll keep you updated on that as our newscast continues. But back here to the canopies, the town issued these orange warning cards for canopies that broke this rule earlier this week. And the town says this is the farthest they want to go for enforcement. The last thing they want to do is to enforce fines. CoastTV spoke with one visitor who says setting up early to her is just fine.
I wish stuff wasn't as unattended, maybe, setting up and leaving it for hours. But, you know, we like to set up early and take a walk on the beach or go to a restaurant, and we feel that, you know, we should just be allowed to do that.
The town says they think these orange warning cards are working because when they went here the day after issuing one of them of a canopy who broke the rule earlier this week, they say they saw people there at the same canopy. Live in Dewey Beach, Brandon Ferguson, Coast TV News.
And we'll go now to our Coast TV poll. We want to know what you think is the best way to stop these early tent setups.
Let's take a look at the results so far. 73% say more enforcement. 21% say bigger fines, 3% say public reminders, and 3% say allow earlier.
It is not too late to vote. You still can, and we want to know what you think, so go to coasttv.com or use our mobile app.
Delaware State Police have arrested a Rehoboth Beach man for drugs. Troopers say they searched Steve Pagan's home on Baltimore Avenue Thursday morning as part of a drug investigation. They say they found him inside with 2 children. Police say they recovered cocaine, mushrooms, steroids, 2 loaded guns, and over $3,100 in suspected drug money. The Maryland Department of Environment has revoked over 1,400 lead paint inspection certificates. This comes after an inspector failed to follow safety standards. According to the department, 3 children have already tested positive for elevated lead levels, and affected rental units must now be re-inspected. In Maryland, rental homes built before 1978 are assumed to contain lead paint and must pass safety inspections. The department says the inspector in this case now is facing criminal and civil charges.
In less than 24 hours, the U.S. could impose new tariffs on several countries, and if implemented, they could reshape the way America does business with the world. Mary Bell Gonzalez has a look at which goods could be hit.
Is there any wiggle room on steel and aluminum in exchange for any budge on
Not a lot, because if I do it for one, I have to do it for all.
President Donald Trump signed multiple executive actions this week, imposing a 50% tariff on Brazil, a 50% tariff on certain copper products, and said India would have to pay a 25% reciprocal tariff and possibly a penalty at the start of August. So what do these changes mean for Americans?
We'll see prices start to creep up.
The move signals an escalation of the Trump administration's trade war, impacting products that are crucial components in a variety of goods like copper, which is used in electronics, machinery, and cars. Also,
Coffee is a good example. It's something that's not grown in the United States.
While these trade talks have produced some wins for the U.S., like some overseas trading partners pledging increased investments, other countries like Canada are not playing ball. If tariffs on Canadian imports like lumber remain in place, a report from the Canadian Chamber of Commerce estimates the average cost of building a home in the U.S. could increase by an additional $14,000 by the end of 2027. And yet, all these tariffs could be changed once again inside a courtroom.
The authority for them is based on the president's emergency powers, and there's a court case pending on that, and the federal circuit could decide that he doesn't have those powers, in which case he's not allowed to levy these tariffs.
I'm Mary Bell Gonzalez, reporting.
Turbulence tosses passengers to the ceiling on a Delta flight, forcing an emergency landing. Why it's raising fresh concerns for air safety.
We're continuing to track severe thunderstorm threat. Right now it's over Harrington and Farmington, headed towards Houston, Statenville, Spring Hill, and Milford.
But first, Mayor Memories, the nonprofit, celebrates 25 years of rescues and rehabilitations in Delaware. That's up next.
There are
are so many unique things along the coast of Delmarva. Take our waters, for example, where we have marine animals, sea turtles. And in this week's Coastal Connections, reporter Emma Aiken introduces us to an organization that has spent the last 25 years protecting those things right here in Delaware.
Flipping through memories. And there is a lot of them for Suzanne Thurman. She's the founder of the Marine Education, Research, and Rehabilitation Institute. Most Delawareans know the nonprofit as MARE, and MARE is celebrating 25 years this year.
It's been a really wonderful and heartwarming journey.
That journey began from Thurman's love for animals and the environment. Back in 1995, she was volunteering for the state and recalls a moment that changed it all.
I remember rescuing that seal and I thought, oh, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, and it just really resonated with me, and I'm very fortunate I found a way to be able to do that.
4 years later in 1999, Thurman and a loggerhead sea turtle crossed paths. The creature, cold and stunned, had no resources in Delaware at the time to help her.
So I had to bring her home and keep her alive in my laundry room overnight, and that not ideal for her, but I tried to keep her moist and comfortable. And I remember she had barnacles all over her shell, and they were clattering because they were out of water. She served such a big purpose because I could see how much these animals needed care right away, and how many of them could be saved or at least ease their suffering. And also document them.
That sea turtle rescue inspired the start of MARE, having no idea it would shell out to more than 5,000 rescues over the last quarter century, including whales, dolphins, porpoises, seals, and sea turtles. But Thurman says you just can't save every one of them. That's why prevention through education is so important.
The legacy that I do want for this community is our education center. And that will be such a resource here.
Thurman says she couldn't have done the last 25 years without the community's support. And she's proud to say that MARE's had more than 500 volunteers.
I love knowing that we're in this community, and that I know that we've had so much support, and that support will just continue on and on. I don't see people all of a sudden not caring about these animals, so it's a wonderful partnership.
Thurman explained that being on call 24/7 certainly doesn't come without its hardships, but as she reflects on the pictures that weave together MARE's 25 years, she's reminded of what's important. What's been work for MARE has been a life saved for many of the coast's cutest creatures. For Coastal Connections, I'm Emma Aiken.
At this point, we've been tracking some storms that have prompted at least a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings, but overall, we are under a severe thunderstorm watch, meaning conditions are ripe for thunderstorms and severe storms to form. Only when we say a warning is there an actual storm that's posing a threat. And we do have a warning to update you on. It's in Cambridge right now. We're starting to see the early evidence of how things are just turning quickly. It was bright and beautiful not too long ago. And so suddenly it's as if Mother Nature pulled a nightshade down and boom, it becomes very overcast. We have the newest severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Dorchester. Now this affects the folks that are in Cambridge, Bucktown, Linkwood. This stays in effect until 6 o'clock. That being said, here's a look at the cell that's prompting the concern right there. You see how quickly it's moving from Cornersville to Cambridge? Now it's tracking to the east at about 25 miles per hour, so we're expecting it to hit the Hurlock community at about 5:37, Vienna at 5:41, Sharptown at 5:50, and then hitting Laurel right around 6:08. This is the track that we're looking at. It likely continue if it moves on the path that it's on right now. Overall, we still have the active severe thunderstorm watch. All the ingredients are on the table. The cake hadn't been made yet, but when you have a watch, it means all the ingredients are available for the storms to form quickly. We also have a flood watch down towards Chincoteague, where we had all of the horses and all the activity down there. They're concerned about flooding down there as a result of these storms that we expect, and some gusty winds along the coast as well. That's going to be a concern for an extended period of time. But overall, with all the watches and warnings, we have significant flood warning over towards Baltimore, the Ellicott City area, and all of that. But that's well to our north, where the more intense cells are located. Right now, we also have that cell that's sliding through, another one that's making its way through Milford right now and Farmington. Now, this cell was earlier this evening, but it's beginning to diminish in its strength. So that's at least a bit of good news there as it slides through. But it's still affecting the folks along Highway 13, Harrington, headed towards Houston, and expected to move throughout Riverview and Spring Hill pretty quickly here. We are in that zone of at least a slight storm risk. Not marginal, but slight, not enhanced, which would be worse, but just slight. So we're concerned about some wind as well as significant downpours. Temperatures are in the 80s right now. And here's a take a look at our futurecast. We're looking at perhaps our latest run is indicating we could look at a significant line just developing quickly at about 6:30, right after we close out the 6 o'clock newscast. We're looking for that line to push through, and then another one just before our 11 o'clock newscast. So we will keep you updated either online with our app or right here. If we turn into anything really ominous, we'll break program to let you know about that. But excessive rainfall is our primary concern, as we're about moderate concern for that throughout the state, and at least a slight threat of that for our immediate area. Tomorrow, not so much the case. So it's all about dumping the rain tonight. So at 9 o'clock, this slides through quickly, out of the way, and then Friday we may see a random sprinkle or two. How about the amount of rain? The latest run indicating we could see up to 4 inches in around the Milton area, close to 1.5 inches in Lewis, and close to 2.5 inches near Ellendale. Very isolated pockets. So when we kind of do this, I'm breaking it down even smaller with the timing. 7:30, Delmar, Salisbury. That's where we're looking for this storm to push through, and then possibly Milton, 7:30, and then it pushes out of the way. Now that's one half of our county. Then we take a look at the other half. Looking at this timeline, about 8 o'clock as this begins to push through and out of our immediate area. Finally, here's a look at the extended forecast. After this rain is done with us, we'll have much cooler weather, but we got to get past this rocky stuff for tonight.
All right, Paul, thank you. Severe turbulence struck a Delta flight from Salt Lake City to Amsterdam Wednesday, causing service carts and unbelted passengers to hit the ceiling and forcing an emergency landing.
And 25 people were on board. They were taken to local hospitals, but the airline says the majority have been released.
I watched a wine cart just get thrown into the air, and like stuff is thrown everywhere. People lost phones, like people were screaming. It was crazy. I felt the centrifugal force. I was off my seat for like 30 seconds with the turbulence.
The airline said the flight did land safely and was met by medics.
Transportation authorities now investigating. Well, are you ready for some football? Tonight at 7, it's the Hall of Fame game, and you can watch as the Lions take on the Chargers right here on Coast TV.
Here's what's coming up tonight on the Delmarva Sports Network. At 6:15, it's Maryland Supreme Boys Basketball League. Then at 10:30, the final score.
Coming up next, a look at the shortest presidential campaign in modern history. Kamala Harris is telling all in a new memoir what she says she's finally ready to reveal. Next on Coast TV News at 5. Former Vice President Kamala Harris has a new memoir on the way. Harris has reached a deal to publish a book called 107 Days, and it's set to be released on September 23rd. Harris says she spent time reflecting on her campaign and, quote, she said, quote, I believe there's value in sharing what I saw, what I learned, and what I will take forward.
The Rehoboth Beach Police Department is now hiring full-time officers. Applicants must be certified police officers in Delaware. For more information on this position, it is all on the Rehoboth Beach Police Facebook page. Let's go ahead and take a live look outside into Laurel. One more check on those cloudy skies after the break. Are you looking for a new pet? The Brandywine Valley SPCA is hosting an adoption event this weekend in Rehoboth. It's Saturday, August 2nd, 10 to 3, the Petco on Coastal Highway. There will be no adoption fees for dogs and cats. Similar events are being held across New Jersey and Pennsylvania through August and September.
Don't forget, each and every Friday you can cheer up with a weekly dose of local good news from Coast TV. We have features, cool things to do each weekend, and more, and you can sign up for free. Just go to coasttv.com/sign up.
Right now, we're keeping a close eye on Milford. The storms are headed in that direction, expected to stick around until about 7 o'clock. Here's what we're tracking right now. We have an active severe thunderstorm watch. Means that ingredients are on the table to cook up this storm. Only when we talk about a warning do we have an active storm that's pushing across at this point. Now, we do have a warning that's in and around the Cambridge area. This one sticks around until about 6 o'clock for this evening. This is the cell that's pushing through Cambridge and headed towards Secretary. Seaford, we're picking up some light scattered showers there, and along Slaughter Beach down towards Lewis, we're seeing some more rain kick off. Larry Brown of Dagsboro, you are our umbrella winner, courtesy of Paul Davis Restoration Home Remodeling. We are keeping you updated on what's happening with the latest watches and warnings with our telephone line. Your forecast is just a call away, sponsored by the law offices of Brockstedt, Mendalis, and Federico. And finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. The good news is after we shake off all this rain and thunderstorm activity, we're going to cool off significantly as we go into this weekend, particularly Saturday night and Sunday night going into Monday.
All right, Paul, thank you, and thanks for joining us here for Coast TV News at 5.
For more news and local weather, you can download our Coast TV News app.
Inside Edition is up next.
And we'll see you later tonight for Coast TV News at 6. Have a great evening.